Hi, welcome to the final tutorial under the section titled Financial Mathematics. In today's tutorial, we are going to be looking at advanced calculations in financial maths. In terms of what you need to know to progress with this tutorial, you need to have gone through the first 3 tutorials in financial maths called Basic Financial Maths, Using the Timeline, and Loans and Annuities. If you are in grade 11, you only needed to have gone through the first 2 tutorials. Let us begin by looking at a few examples. The first question I gave you to do read, you invest 200,000 Rand today in a fixed deposit yielding 18% per annum compounded quarterly. What will your investment be worth at the end of 10 years? Now, you'll notice that in the workbook I did leave a big space for you to write down the formulas. At the start of each of the financial maths calculations, I want you to start by writing the formula that you're going to be using. Now in this case here we are looking at compound interest, so we are looking for future value, so we will say future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus I over m to the power nm. Our present value is 200,000 Rand multiplied by 1 plus our interest rate of 0.18, 18% over 4, which is the number of compounds per year, to the power 10, which is n, multiplied by 4m, the number of compounds per year, n being the number of years. If you plug this straight into your calculator, you will get an answer of 1,163,272 Rand and 91 cents. And that is your answer. That is what your money is going to be worth at the end of 10 years. The second one I gave you to do read, Company A sets up a sinking fund to replace equipment in 4 years' time. Current value of equipment is 20,000 Rand. If the annual rate of inflation is 7%, what will the equipment be worth in 4 years' time? We are looking for what the equipment is going to be worth. We are looking for the future value of the equipment. We have the present value of the equipment, 1 plus interest or inflation to the power nm. That's I over m, by the way. The nice thing with inflation calculations is it's assumed that it's compounded once a year, so we don't need to put the m's in. So our equation that we are going to be using reads future value is equal to present value, open bracket 1 plus I to the power n. Present value of the equipment is 20,000 Rand. 1 is 1 plus our interest rate of 0.077% to the power 4 years. And that's going to equal 26,215 Rand and 92 cents. That is what our equipment is going to be worth at the end of 4 years. Hence, if we want to replace this equipment in 4 years' time, we are not going to need 20,000 Rand, we are going to need 26,215 Rand and 92 cents. Now, the question read that the company sets up a sinking fund. 2.2, Equal quarterly payments are made into the sinking fund, which yields 9.4% per annum, starting in 3 months' time, with the last payment at the end of 4 years. Now it's quarterly payments, which means that each payment happens every 3 months. We are going to be paying it into an investment. Isn't that investment very similar to an annuity, where you pay at regular intervals and you withdraw a sum of money at the end of that period? Obviously, the sinking fund will be over a much shorter period than an annuity. The formula we are going to be using reads future value is equal to X multiplied by 1 plus I over M to the power nm minus 1. All of that divided by I over M. Now we've got the future value. We know that the future value, or the value of our money to replace this equipment, needs to be 26,215. We are trying to find out what our monthly or what our quarterly payments are going to be. We've got our interest rate of 9.4%. Number of compounds per year is 4 times a year because it's compounded quarterly. Number of years is 4 times a year. So all of our information we have. The only problem is this equation is in the wrong format. Like I say, we've got future value, we are trying to work out X. My suggestion in a case like this, don't start by plugging in values. Start by manipulating this equation to make X the subject of the formula. X being our payments. X will equal future value multiplied by I over M. All I've done was get rid of that denominator. Now I need to get rid of that whole piece. I'll divide it. I'll have to divide that by that. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So it's divided by 1 plus I over M to the power nm minus 1. And now that I have it in this form here, I can now start plugging in values. Future value is 26,215 Rand 92 cents multiplied by our interest of 0.094 over number of compounds a year, 4 compounded quarterly, divided by, let's move this up, divided by 1 plus interest 0.094 over 4 times a year to the power of 4 years multiplied by 4 compounds a year minus 1. That will give us an answer of 1,368 Rand 67 cents. We will have to pay, or rather company A will have to pay 1,368 Rand and 67 cents every 3 months into the fund to, at the end of 4 years, have a value of 26,215 Rand, which will be the cost to replace this piece of equipment. Question 3. Question 3 read, you buy a house for 1,800,000 Rand and pay a 10% deposit. The balance is paid using a bank loan. Interest is charged at 14% per annum compounded monthly for 20 years. Calculate your monthly repayments. Before we calculate our monthly repayments, we are first going to have to determine what was the value of the loan taken out? The house costs 1,800,000, but we paid a 10% deposit. Keep this in mind. We paid a 10% deposit, which means that our loan that we are going to take out from the bank is not going to be the full 1,800,000. 10% deposit will work out to 180,000 rand. That means that we are taking out a loan for the amount 1,800,000 rand minus 180,000 rand, which will give us 1,620,000 rand. This is the value of our loan. Now we move into our loan calculations. There is a formula that reads present value is equal to x multiplied by 1 minus 1 plus I over m to the power negative nm, all of that divided by I over m. This means that the present value of our loan is equal to our monthly installment multiplied by 1 minus 1 plus our interest over number of compounds per year, usually 12, to the power negative number of years multiplied by number of compounds divided by interest over number of compounds. Remember, we know the present value of our loan, 1,620,000 rand. Again, we are trying to calculate x. Again, I'll say this. First, manipulate your formula before you start plugging in values, especially with questions like this. It can become very complicated once you've got all your figures in. X will equal present value multiplied by I over m divided by 1 minus 1 plus I over m to the power negative nm. Now I can start to plug in values. X monthly repayments is going to equal present value of the loan 1,620,000 multiplied by our interest of 0.14 or 14% divided by 12 compounds a year, all of that over 1 minus 1 plus 0.14 over 12 to the power negative 20 years multiplied by 12 compounds a year, and that is going to equal 20,145 rand and 4 cents. That means that at an interest rate of 14% per annum, which in 2009 is a fairly decent interest rate, a loan on 1,620,000 rand over a 20-year period will cost you 20,000 rand 145 per month for 20 years. Alright? The next part of the question, 3.2, asked us, what is outstanding at the end of 10 years? Basically, that means if we wanted to settle this debt at a 10-year period, what is still outstanding? Let us look at that carefully. We are basically asking for the present value of our future payments. at 10 years. Right? We are saying at 10 years, what is our loan? What are we still owing? What is it going to be worth? Now, the way we are going to do this, we are going to be looking for the present value of a 10-year loan with payments of 20,145 Rand. Let us look at how that becomes about. Firstly, we're going to use the formula PV is equal to X multiplied by we're going to look for X multiplied by 1 minus 1 plus I over M to the power negative NM divided by I over M. We are looking for present value, so as it stands, this formula is correct. Our X is 20,145 Rand 4 cents multiplied by 1 minus 1 plus our interest rate is still 14%, 0.14 over 12 to the power negative NM, which is going to be negative 120. 10 years multiplied by 12 compounds a year over 0.14 over 12, and that is going to give us an answer. Present value of the loan at 10 years time is going to be 1,297,449 Rand and 77 cents. This is going to be the value of our loan, or the amount outstanding after 10 years, or rather with 10 years remaining. The fourth question I gave you read, the value of a company's equipment is depreciating at 13% per annum on the straight line basis. After 3 years, its value is 30,400 Rand. Calculate the original cost. 4.1. Calculate the original cost. So we know that the future value of our equipment is 30,400 Rand. We also know that it is depreciating at 13% per annum, but that's straight line. Just make a note of that. Now remember, depreciation, inflation and interest all are given as percentages, and all can take the place of I in a formula, although I should be technically denoting only interest. We are looking for the present value, and we know that it's over a period of 3 years. The formula I'm going to use reads future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus I times N, because it's straight line. It's not diminishing balance. It's not compound depreciation. I'm looking for present value, so I'm going to make it the subject of the formula. That means that present value is equal to future value divided by 1 plus I times N, which is equal to 30,400 divided by 1 plus interest of 0.13 multiplied by N, which is 3 years. If I work that out on a calculator, that's going to give me an answer of 49,836 Rand and 7 cents. This is what my equipment was worth at the start of the 3 years. 4.2, 4.2 read, if the depreciation was on diminishing balance, what would its value be at the end of 3 years? So we're still starting off from this point of this was our original cost, our present value was 49,836 Rand and 7 cents, except our depreciation is now still 7% but on diminishing balance, which is basically compound depreciation. Our future value is what we are trying to calculate, and our number of years is still 3. We'll say future value is equal to present value 1 plus I to the power n, which is going to equal 49,836.07, 1 plus 0.07 to the power 3, which will give me an answer of 32,817 Rand and 20 cents. Notice something from the previous example. My future value in the previous example was 30,400 Rand if it was straight line depreciation. However, in this case with diminishing balance depreciation, my future value is a little bit higher than straight line. Remember, straight line or simple depreciation is always more expensive than diminishing balance. The same way compound interest earns more than simple interest. Question 5. You begin investing monthly in an annuity paying out 12% per annum on your 18th birthday. Your monthly investment is going to be 300 Rand and you intend to withdraw the money on your 65th birthday. Question 5.1. How much will you be investing? Well, you're investing 300 Rand a month times how many years? Well, times 12 months a year, multiplied by the number of years, which is going to be 65 minus 18. That's going to give us an answer of 169,200 Rand. That means altogether, by the time you reach 65, this is going to be your total investment. Seems like a fair amount. Now let's look at what our returns are going to be. 5.2, which reads, how much will you receive when you turn 65? It's an annuity, so we are going to be using the formula future value is equal to X, which is your monthly input, multiplied by 1 plus our interest rate over M, compounded 12 times a year because it's an annuity that you pay into monthly, to the power nm minus 1. All of that divided by I over M. We don't need to manipulate this formula because we are looking for future value. It's already the subject of the formula. We are paying in 300 Rand, 1 plus our interest rate of 12%, so that's 0.12 over 12 compounds a year, to the power 47 years multiplied by 12 compounds a year minus 1. All of that divided by 0.12 over 12, which will give you an answer of, how cool is this, 8,180,622 Rand and 18 cents. Yes, this is possible. There are a lot of annuities on offer at the moment. 300 Rand is a very minimal amount. Most people are not going to be sitting with it for 47 years. However, a lot of people sit with it only for about 20 to 40 years. The longer your annuity grows, the much better it is. I want you to seriously consider investing in annuities from now, because it grows to phenomenal amounts when you are ready to retire. Question 6. Inflation for 2009 and 2010 is estimated at 8.2% per annum, 7.4% for 2011, and 6.8% for 2012, 2013, and 2014. What will an asset worth 100,000 Rand at the start of 2009 be worth in 6 years' time? Now notice something, that for this question there are different interest rates, or rather different inflation rates that we are working with. A good suggestion would be to use a timeline. Start off with a timeline. At the start of 2009, the asset is worth 100,000 Rand. Its value is going to change over a 2-year period till the end of 2010. So this was rather at the end of 2008, or start of 2009, end 2008, start 2009. Over a 2-year period, it went from 100,000 Rand to a certain amount. The inflation outlook then improved slightly for a 1-year period up until the end of 2011, and then up till the end of 2014, for a 3-year period, we had a very good inflation outlook of only 6.8%. So the first inflation outlook was 8.2, second was 7.4, and the next stage, or the last 3 years, it was 6.8%. What is our asset worth 100,000 Rand going to be worth? I'm going to start out by working it out over the 2-year period. So my future value, which will be my value there, is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus I to the power to the power n. It's nm and I over m, but m is equal to 1 in this case. Present value 100,000 Rand multiplied by 1 plus our interest of 0.082, 8.2%, to the power 2 years, which will give us an answer of 117,072 Rand and 40 cents. This is our value at the end of 2010. We are now going to calculate the value at the end of 2011. For that, we will say future value again is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus I to the power n. Present value is this amount, the value of our asset at the end of 2010, which is 117,072.40, 1 plus our inflation outlook of 0.074 to the power 1 year, which will give me an answer. Let me just put this straight. Which will give me an answer of 125,735 Rand 76 cents. This is what our asset is going to be worth at the end of 2010. For the next 3 years, again we are going to use future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus I to the power n. Present value again is going to be the end value of our asset at the start, or rather at the end of the last period, which is 125,735 Rand 76 cents, multiplied by 1 plus our inflation of 0.068 to the power 3 years, which will give us an answer of 153,169 Rand 60 cents. This here is the value of our asset at the end of 2014. At the end of 2014, after the 6-year period, our asset is worth 153,169 Rand 60 cents. The important thing I want you to remember about the question that I've just done is that it uses timelines. I want you to be comfortable with using timelines because they are pretty useful. And that brings us to the end of financial maths. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. There is an exercise that I've left in the workbook on the cumulative advanced financial maths. I want you to go through that before progressing on with the next section.